Well, it's one of the most pressing questions that crosses the minds of many women contemplating both career and children. Are my kids going to kill my career? After interviewing hundreds of moms for her brand new book, The Momshift, author Reva Seth discovered the answer is actually a resounding no. And she's here to share some of the stories this morning. I thank you for writing this.
Well, thank you for having me here. Yeah, I come with good news. They're not going to kill your career. It can all go on, and it can be really good. Children can be a positive catalyst in your life career-wise, something we never hear.
Right, and you say that you grew up with the clear message that children were an obstacle to career, and that is something that we continue to hear all the time. Yeah. Studies say this, studies say that. But you interviewed hundreds and hundreds of women who say that this is not the case for them.
Well, you know, and you're right, studies after studies, we keep hearing, you know, there is still a gender gap, there's all kinds of inequities at the top. And I'm not discounting any of that, but what I'm saying is let's stop just looking at what's happening at the C-suite and let's expand it out. We have a lot of ways to be successful at home and at work, and we just don't hear those stories.
Why? Is that because it's not so quantifiable, like when it comes to salary or female CEOs or in top positions, but then there is just family life, right?
There's family life, and the other thing is that, you know, careers are changing really fast, and we still look at the traditional, you know, lean-in corporate career, but a lot of us have a lot of other choices now, like from consulting to part-time work to being an entrepreneur. There's so many different ways to do that. Let's stop letting the women at the extreme end of career success just dominate this discussion for us. And let's get some other voices and ideas out there.
Well, I want to hear about your story. What was your mom shift, I guess?
This book is what I wished I'd had when I found out I was pregnant. Like you said, I grew up with a really clear message that children meant really the end of your career. And so for myself, I started my career as a lawyer on Bay Street. I thought it was all going well, except that I hated law and I wasn't a good lawyer. Right. So I ended up leaving that. I got engaged and I moved to the UK, and I started in a brand new industry. I started in PR. At the time, I was at the bottom of my PR agency because my education didn't count for anything. All the people I was working with were much younger, and I was earning pennies on the dollar. 3 days after my wedding, I found out I was also 3 months pregnant, and I really felt like this was it. Like I'd done all of these right steps, but my overwhelming feeling was, my career is over. Right. And I think that really came from the message I was hearing, which was, you know, all these high-flying, successful women, they can't do it. So I felt, well, how am I going to do it? And then I started to look around at my friends and peer group, and I saw all of these women were having great career success after kids. We just weren't hearing their stories. And it's those women's stories that I want to get out there because it can help. You know, Sheryl Sandberg has a lot to teach us about one way of doing things, but she wouldn't have helped me. She doesn't help me now. I don't want a career like that. It's not a choice. Right. I want to hear other ways that I can do this.
Okay, and you found all kinds of other women.
Yeah.
How did you source these women that you spoke to?
Well, initially I just started asking around, and then, you know, I actually did get organizational help. I went to companies who were also interested in, you know, looking at the workforce and retaining talent, and said, help me amass just tons of women because I want to hear what's going on. And you know what? I hear stories all the time. Like, there are so many women out there who are having really great, successful careers, and they just don't get a chance to showcase
And the more you tell the story, the more people want to tell you, because in the break, I started on my story.
Exactly, like you're another mom shifter, right?
Right, well, yeah, unexpectedly.
And that's what women say, it's unexpectedly. And a lot of times we have a hard time identifying that, wait a second, I am more successful after kids. So the biggest challenge was I talked to women about the project, and they say, I love it, we need positive stories, we need new lessons. I know my sister-in-law, my colleague, you should talk to them. And then I'd be like, but what about your story? And they'd kind of be like, well, I don't know if I see myself as successful. So one of the things I want to share is that, you know, it's hard as working parents to get a chance to really celebrate that you might not even realize how much you've done. Take a moment and say, it's going better. Don't let someone else define it for you. And realize that if you don't like where you are now, this book can show you so many different ways to get to where you want to be, and it doesn't have to look like Lean In.
Well, it's a fantastic read, a fantastic guide for all kinds of women,
Thank you so much.
Wherever you are in your life. The Momshift, Reva Seth, really nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us today.